video is about how to animate the cube that fall down on Torus, then melt down, go through Torus and go back to his previous shape. So I'm gonna show you how to set it, how to animate it, and of course how to add the right materials to this. Let's bring the plane first, Shift A, Mesh, choose the plane, and then we can scale it a little bit. Then the second object obviously is gonna be a cube, Shift A, Mesh and choose the cube. Then GZ to bring it up. Let's scale our plane a little bit more, so S to scale. Now we can bring to scene the Torus. So Shift A and choose from the bottom of the list the Torus. And the same GZ to lift it up. And we can lift the cube up a little bit as well. And now let's add some physics to our mesh objects. So on the right panel I've got the icon physics, I have to click this. And then I've got a couple of options for cube because I selected the cube. So let's add soft body to the cube because the cube has to go through the Torus. And now let's select the Torus and under the physics let's choose collision because the cube is gonna collide with the Torus. And let's do the same with the plane, select the plane and choose collision. Now at the bottom we've got our timeline, so we can expand it a little bit, and then when we hit spacebar, the animation starts at frame 1 and by default end at frame 250. But we can always change it by dragging the end to whatever frame we want. And then when we hit spacebar to play our animation, you see the cube is floating up and down a little bit, so we have to untick the goal. Now with the cube selected, let's switch to edit mode, right click on the mouse and we have to choose subdivide. And then we can go to the operator panel on the left and change the number of cuts to 9. Now click tab to switch to object mode again, and now we can hit the spacebar and check what's going on in the animation. Now you see the cube hit the Torus, but completely melt down and leak through the Torus. So let's do some changes in the cube's soft body properties. First, let's turn on the self collision. Then let's open the edges and change the bending to 1.6. And it still doesn't behave like we want, so let's change the bending to 6 and I hope it's gonna work now. And now let's increase the timeline to 235 frames and we see what's happened. The cube hit the Torus and fall down on the side. So before it falls on the side, we can animate it so it can go through the Torus. So first let's open the summary of our timeline. This you can find on the left side of the timeline. So let's move the slider to the beginning of the animation and let's keyframe the bending at value 6. Then we can play the animation and see where the cube should start to melt down. So let's stop at frame 76 and keyframe the bending again. And now let's go to frame 102, change the bending value to about 0.4 and keyframe it. So the cube is gonna melt down from frame 76 to 102. So when we play the animation, we see the cube hit the Torus and melt down outside of the Torus. And we want the cube to go inside the Torus. So let's scale up the Torus a bit. And now when we play it, we see that the cube goes through the Torus. However, I think the cube should stay a bit longer and keep its shape on the Torus, then melt it down, so let's adjust the keyframes. We can select the keyframes and G for grab and then move it. Now it looks better. Now let's go to frame 162 and keyframe the bending again at 0.4, so it's still melting up to this point. And then let's go to frame 182, increase the value to 6 and keyframe. So at the end it's got the same bending value as in the beginning. And now let's increase the timeline to 271 frames and let's go to cache option under physics as well. And you've got the simulation start and end. So let's do 271 at the end as well. And in the cache we can also bake it. So when we bake it we can play the animation again and again. And it's gonna load in quicker in the timeline. However, if we want to change something and we want to change, the cube has to fall on the floor and keep the shape the same as at the beginning. So then we have to delete the bake and adjust the animation. Above the bending we've got a pull option. Let's keyframe it at the point when the cube is squeezing into the Torus. So in this case at the frame 145. Then let's go to the keyframe 182. Increase the value to 0.999 and keyframe it again. And now when you play the animation you see that the cube, after squeezing into the Torus, go back to its normal shape like at the beginning. So that's what we wanted. So now we can bake the animation. And now we can add some materials to our mesh objects. So let's switch to material preview. Then let's select the plane and click the little icon of material. Then add new material. Then we can choose some light blue for the ground. And also we can increase the metallic. Then let's choose the torus, new material. Let's add dark gray so it's gonna look like metal, and we can increase the metallic as well. And let's decrease the roughness. And now let's choose material for the cube. Let's go for some red color. Then we can decrease the roughness to 0. Then under specular we can increase the IO level to 1. Under transmission let's increase the weight to 1 as well. And let's open the subsurface and increase the weight to 1. And now we can shade smooth our cube and shade smooth the torus as well. Let's go to viewport shading and increase the world opacity to 0.4. And then let's open the overlays and switch off the floor, X and Y axis, 3D cursor, annotations, text info, bones, and origins. And then we can enjoy playing our animation again and again until we fed up with this. So that's it in this video. If you like it, please subscribe and see you next time. Bye!